What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crooked Hour. Today we're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev vs Walker 2, the whole card, rapid fire picks. I'm going to fly through the prelims and then I'm going to actually break down the main event a little bit more. Let's jump straight into it. So starting off with Joshua Van versus Felipe Buns, or Boons, however you say it. I've got Joshua Van by second round KO. I think he's more technical, tighter boxer. Felipe packs power, but he can be chinned. He's very vulnerable to shots, so ultimately Joshua Van's the pick, second round KO. Next up, we have Tom Nolan versus Nicholas Motta. If you didn't see Tom Nolan, he was on the Contender Series, and he's very impressive. Fellow Aussie, so you got to back the Aussies, you know how we do. But he's looking very good. He's like got that, you know, type of Kevin Holland, like a long type of build. But he's got Jalen Turner type of build. He's got that type of build. Ultimately, Nicholas Motta has been mid lately. There's a 6-inch reach for Tom, and Motta is a little chinny. So ultimately, I see him getting chinned, but in the first round. Tom Nolan by first round knockout. Next up, Weston Wilson versus Gene Silva. Now I've got Gene Silva by second round KO. I think he's a better all-around fighter, and I think Weston Wilson's karate style is gonna struggle against Gene Silva's, you know, boxing, sort of pressure, hard-hitting style, and I think Weston Wilson sadly gonna get KO'd. Next up, Farid Basharat. Brothers with two Gerard Basharat. Is that his name? I can't think. But I got him by decision, you know, 11-0. I think this is going to be a super close fight, though, because Taylor Lenopoulos, is that how you say it? Taylor Lenopoulos, I totally said that right, is a good fighter, you know, and I just think Farid's going to be a little bit more well-rounded, and I think he's going to get the decision win 2-1 with maybe Taylor winning like the first or second round, but I think Farid's going to take over as it gets further in. Next up, Marcus McGee versus Gaston Bolanos. Totally said that correct. I've got Marcus McGee via decision. I think he's a better grappler. He's not too bad on the feet. Gaston, sort of a kickboxer. You know, he's looks better on paper, but I think Marcus McGee's decent on the feet and better on the ground, so he's going to get the win. Got Marcus McGee via decision. Matthew Semmelsberger versus Preston Parsons. Now, Preston Parsons is dog shit. If Daniel Rodriguez can beat up Preston and KO him, I think Semmelsberger will chin him in the first round. Preston Parsons just too hittable. Semmelsberger's got good boxing and packs power. I think Preston Parsons getting shindy. Matthew Semmelsberger by first round KO. And finally on the prelims. These fighters are both pretty mid. You know, Andrei Arlovski, all respect to him, good back in the day, fallen off now, but he's like 44, turning 45. Versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, who I think looks pretty mid in most of his fights. I know he got a KO last time out, but I reckon he looks mid in a lot of his fights. But ultimately, I think Acosta KOs him in the second round, but don't be surprised if Arlovski outpoints him here. Low-level heavyweight boxing. Sad to say that for Arlovski at this time in his career, but it's true. But ultimately, I got Waldo Cortez Acosta by second round KO. So we're in the main card now. We can take our time a little bit more, you know, kick back, and let's get into these main card fights. So first off, Phil Hawes versus Bruno Ferreira. If you're looking at this fight on paper, you know this is a terrible fight for Phil Hawes. And I'm a fan of Phil Hawes, you know. I'm a newer fan. I've been watching UFC for like 3 years now, maybe 2 years. And I remember Phil Hawes was one of the first fighters on a card I watched. I was watching a card, Phil Hawes. One of the first fights I actually seen of Phil Hawes was against the Action Man, Chris Curtis. You know, Phil Hawes was doing his thing, but he got chinned. And that's what seems to happen in every single one of Phil Hawes' fights. He's doing his thing. He's looking good, you know, good boxing, good grappling. Next minute, boom, gets chinned. His chin is in the gutter. And I think Bruno Ferreira, if you can KO RoboCop, I think you can KO Phil Hawes. So ultimately, I'm going Bruno Ferreira. I think he catches him and sleeps him. But Phil Hawes could get his wrestling gold. Honestly, I am going for Phil Hawes. But I think Bruno Ferreira is going to catch him and drop him. The official pick is Bruno Ferreira by KO in round 1. That's what I'm going to go with. I think they come out, you know, Phil Hawes is sort of getting the feeling on his feet. He's probably a little bit hesitant because of Bruno Ferreira's power and he knows he's chinny. But I think Bruno Ferreira is going to find the shot, put him to sleep. Next up, Ricky Simone versus Mario Batista. I got Ricky Simone by decision. I reckon Mario looked pretty mid against him on Blackshear and arguably lost that fight. Like, I don't think it's a robbery, but I think he arguably could have lost that fight. Like, it could have went either way. And against Ricky Simone, you know, he fought Song Yadong, but Song Yadong is good, man. Song Yadong is good, and we're really starting to learn that. And Song Yadong, you know, put up a good fight and KO'd him. Ricky Simone wasn't too bad in that fight, but he ultimately got chinned. Coming in against Mario Batista, I think he wins this fight. I think Ricky Simone wins this fight via decision. I think he wins all 3 rounds. So I think Mario Batista's mid. He's not the best. Like, he does look good in some fights, and then other fights he looks kind of mid. And I reckon Ricky Simone's, he's got that explosive. He's got the grappling. And I think he outpoints Mario Batista. Next up, Jim Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. Now I got Jim Miller in this fight. I got him by KO. I think he's just better all around. I think he's got the better grappling, the better wrestling, the better striking. Although Benitez does have nice kicks, he's not the best. And when you're not the best and Jim Miller comes out with his power, that raw power Jim Miller has, that's something you're going to take from him. Doesn't matter how old he is. You're going to take away that power. And I think once he uses that veteran skills, gets on the inside and chins Gabriel Benitez, that's what I see happening. I think he chins Gabriel Benitez in the second round, I'm going to call, but wouldn't be surprised if it's even the first. Moving on to the co-main event, Matheus Nicolau versus Manel Kape. Big fan of Manel Kape, you know, talking shit to Izzy. How can you not be a fan after that, you know? Fuck Izzy. Sorry, any Izzy fans, but I'm on that Izzy hate train, but we can still be friends, you know? I just don't like Izzy, you know what I'm saying? And that was funny, what Manel Kape did. That was pretty funny. Even if you like Izzy, you got to admit, that was a little bit funny. But I'm going to go Manel Kape. I think he beats Matheus Nicolau by decision or KO in the 3rd round. I could see it going either way, but ultimately, I think it goes to a decision. And I think his raw boxing will beat Matheus Nicolau's defensive style. I think he'll be able to catch him, get the better lands off, you know. And I think he'll beat him by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts, you know, collecting some good shots in that 3rd round and gets Matheus Nicolau out of there. Moving on to the main event. Now, if you watch my How to Bet Both Ways, which I recommend you do because I break this fight down in a little bit more detail than I will be right now. But I've got Johnny Walker by 3rd round KO. I know most people are probably going 1st round for Johnny Walker, but I'm going 3rd round. I think Ankalaev gets a bit of grappling off. And I think Johnny Walker survives it, and I think he catches him in the 3rd round. You know, I think they both learnt so much off that first fight, and I think what Johnny Walker learnt was, this guy's a little bit hesitant with me on the feet. I'm going to use this to my advantage. And I think Ankalaev will be shooting a lot more takedowns early this fight, and I think Johnny Walker's going to be ready for that. I'm not doubtful Johnny Walker's going to get taken down, but I think he's going to get back up, or a new round will start and I'll be back on the feet. And I can't help but see Johnny Walker chinning him in the 3rd round. I think they get a bit tangled up. Ankalaev's like, all right, let's do some striking then. I think Johnny Walker catches him with something weird, like just a wide swinging hook or, you know, jumping straight or something like that. I think he catches him. Anyway, everybody, that's been this episode of Rapid Picks. Let me know your picks. Let me know what you disagree with, what you agree with. And it should be a good card. I'm excited for this card. UFC is finally back, baby. Get excited. But as always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, have a good one.
Give me 5 minutes, I'ma pull up with like 5 niggas. Give me 5 minutes, girl, I'ma be right with you.